let's do some history, right? Not gonna bore you guys with too much reading, but let's let's take them back, right? Let's go back to 2007, April 2007. This is from the Federal Reserve Bank of St. Louis, one of the Fed arms, if you will, St. Louis, right? And we're gonna give attribution. You know what? You're a super reader. What do these names say?
I don't know.
Okay, cool.
I don't
There
want to
you
mess
go.
them up.
There you go. So let's give attribution, right, to where and who it belongs to. But this is from April 1st, 2020, 2007, pardon me, right? So what's that, 10, what's that, 12 years ago now?
Mm,
Yeah, 17, 18, 19, 21, 12 years ago. Okay. And so here's the deal. The first thing I want to do is identify uh, what was going on at that time. Okay. And let's look at it like this: the US mortgage market at that time, there were more than 3 million subprime mortgage loans originated and sold on the secondary market in the US from 2004 to 2006. Now, the reason that's important, Michaela, is because just like now, where interest rates are in an increasing environment, and there's a lot of talk online and things of that nature referencing the housing bubble or the crash or the recession, the last recession that we were in, that was attributed to the mortgage market. Okay.
okay.
And again, I'm painting this picture to give us an idea of where these fears, what fears, the fears of adjustable rate mortgages have come from. Okay. So 2004 to 2006, I was in the mix. You know the story. Those that watch have known the story, right?
Hmm.
Doing our thing, making money hand over fist. 2007 hits. And it really started, signs of danger really started in 2005. But you can see that during that time, here's the point, more than 45% of those mortgages that was originated during that time were what kind?
Arms.
Adjustable rate mortgages. Okay. Now, what's wrong with that? Nothing on the face of it, right? And let's go down here and look at this chart. You can kind of see the chart here, right? So arms played a huge part over those time frames. Okay. So fixed rate mortgages, not so much. Okay. Negative amortization mortgages, about 10% over that time. Well, not as much as 10%, but a fair amount. And then you had the others. Okay. So now that you have an idea of what types of loans that were going on at that time, okay, here's the deal. Let's look at who those loans were being given to. What loans am I speaking to about? At 45% adjustable rate mortgages, right?
Hmm.
So those loans were really what we call subprime mortgages or the subprime mortgage market. And a real quick definition here, subprime mortgages are almost always associated with prepayment penalties. Do you know what that means?
No.
So a prepayment penalty, let's say you have a loan, let's just call it a 3-year loan,
Okay.
and I give you an interest rate and I say, "Hey, if you pay this loan off before its maturity date, anytime within those 3 years, then there's a penalty associated with it."
Okay.
Okay? And that penalty that's associated with you not paying off before the time frame is an incentive for you to keep the loan for the 3 years, right?
Right.
Okay. So let's think about this. So prepayment penalties, high fees, high interest rates. Why? You read that next sentence there, starting with because.
Because subprime borrowers are viewed as riskier than those with high incomes and high credit scores.
Go ahead.
Because borrowers with less than perfect credit or with no credit history at all tend to have a higher probability of default and delinquency, they are charged higher prices to compensate lenders for risk.
So now let's think about it. Just from what you know and what you've been told, would you say that adjustable rate mortgages are more sophisticated, meaning the person that is getting them needs to have a little more understanding about their finances and how things work opposed to a fixed rate mortgage?
Yes, I agree with that.
Okay. So just and the reason I wanted you on is because I know you don't know a lot, but that's
Yeah.
fine. Not knowing a lot is not a problem, and that's, as an aside, that's a jewel to you young folks. What the problem is pride. Okay. Put your pride to the side, humble yourself, and always be learning. Amen.
Amen.
So as we're going through this process, that's why I wanted you here, because just from your vantage point and your point of view, and okay, we're lending Michaela's money now, right?
Mm-hmm.
Would you lend someone an adjustable rate mortgage that has this type of profile?
Probably not.
What type of loan, if you did lend the money, what kind of loan do you think you would do?
Um, of a fixed rate mortgage.
Fixed rate, right? Why?
Yeah.
Why would you do that for the
Well,
person?
because it doesn't seem to be so- a as sophisticated of a mortgage.
Mm-hmm.
Um, you have more fixed variables.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so it's harder to mess up, for lack of a better term. It's harder to miss a payment, or to mess up the mortgage pretty much.
Right, because you want those people to succeed. Bottom
Right.
line, right? And
Exactly.
the success is I want my money back,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So no disrespect to anybody. So now let me ask you this: based upon your time in the industry now, would you say we still have clients profiles that fit some of these adjectives that we just read about that define a subprime mortgage borrower?
Yeah, I would say we do.
Right. So anytime we have any of those things going on, the good news is that there's tools available to possibly help these folks get into home ownership. Because if you've been watching any of the stuff that I've been doing social lately, just really teaching and trying to get people to think, but home ownership accounts for 2/3 of the majority net income, right? So it's very important to get into home ownership. So because of that, right? I'm not going to say that these folks were nefariously. Well, I can't say that. I don't know what their motives was back then, but bottom line, we need to get as many folks into home ownership that want to be, that are able to be, uh, in a successful way, so that they can help build that net worth, right?
Right.
So now, with all of that said, let's round the corner here before we get into the meat of the video, because the last part's the best part. Okay, so as a result of that profile, more risky. Because they're risky, we're going to charge prepayment penalties. Okay. We're going to charge higher fees. One thing that this article does not point out, and that's the benefit of having someone that has perspective and context from in the past, aka old folks, right?
Mhm.
Uh, a lot of these loans, okay, were able to be obtained at 100% LTV. You know what that stands for, right? Loan to value.
Yes.
So the people that are getting into these loans aren't bringing any money to the table, aka they don't have any equity. Okay.
Okay.
So higher fees, prepayment penalties, sophisticated, no equity. So if
Hmm.
something goes wrong, then do we have any room for error?
No.
Do we have any room for the housing market? And that's big now. Do we have any room for the housing market as far as values to come down any?
No.
Because if they do, you finance the 100%,
Right.
right? Now let
Yeah.
me ask you another thing before we go forward. If you, if I say, hey, Michaela, go find a house, whatever one you want,
Hmm.
right? Don't worry about the cost.
Hmm.
Don't worry about the closing costs. None of that. I got
Hmm.
you. Okay. And you go out and you're gonna do that, right?
Yeah.
Now, as soon as trouble comes, what do you, and take yourself out of yourself, because I know you, right? But just for the average person, when trouble comes, okay, because it didn't cost you anything to get in,
Right.
right? When trouble comes, what are you more likely to do in that scenario?
Probably walk away from it.
Walk away, right?
Yeah.
That's where the term skin in the game. I know you asked me that before. What does that mean? You guys, you old folks got all these terms, right? Skin in the game means that, hey, if you have skin in the game, when, not if, when hard times come, when
Hmm.
turbulence comes, because it's coming,
Hmm.
if done properly, you have the you have an investment, right? And hopefully, if you have the right team, you're put in the right position to where you can weather the storm. That's another term, right?
Yeah.
So, got to have skin in the game. But a lot of these folks didn't have skin in the game, and they're already shaky as far as the profile is concerned.
Gotcha.
Okay.
Mhm.
Now, the types of loans that were being done, two big ones I highlighted here. Negative amortization. All that means is this $100,000 loan. Remember, 100% loan to value, not bringing any money to the table. I also know that folks were given down payment assistance. I mean, folks were literally, in a lot of cases, getting into houses with $500.
Hmm.
Okay.
Mhm.
And so, negative amortization loans. These loans did not require, like we do today, what we call a qualified mortgage, where we have to show your ATR, yeah, ability to repay.
Okay.
These folks were able to stake their income.
Mm.
Okay. So they used to call them liar loans, right?
Yeah.
So now we just waiting for a catastrophe. You
Right.
feel me?
Mhm.
Coupled with last thing as we finish making this cake, because this is what the problem is today. Context coupled with you have at that time a real easy money policy. Interest rate weren't as low as they were a year or so ago. They were more in line with where they are now.
Mhm.
But you had people that were like, hey, home prices are always going to increase. So we had a bubble that was created because now you have people. I was dealing with customers in California. I remember it vividly. They were taking equity out of their homes, coming to the Texas market, buying investment properties at
Mhm.
high loan to values because they were speculating, aka gambling,
Okay.
just like a lot what's been done over the last 2 years.
Yeah.
Okay. Getting negative amortized loans, meaning that $100,000 loan, let's say we got 5% interest, $5,000 a year divided by 12. You had the option, four options. You could pay a portion of the interest, you could pay interest only, you could pay principal or principal and interest. And you had that option every time the payment came around. But there's something that's called negative, right? Amortization. So if you chose one of those payments other than the last one, where it was the principal and interest, the remaining balance went to the balance that you didn't pay went to what was owed. And they had caps on the negative am to 110, some at 120%. So your loan balance was what? Growing.
Yeah.
So when all the stuff hit the fan, then you had a surplus of homes. Another risky loan because of not because of the product, the tool, but because of the person, the profile it was given to was the adjustable rate mortgages. And a lot of those were done in a form called 228s, right? 2 plus 28 equals 30. They're
Mhm.
always going to be amortized over 30 years, but that 2 year period was the fixed portion. And guess what kind of penalty it had on it?
Prepayment.
Why do you think the lender wanted a prepayment penalty?
Cause they want you to keep that loan for a lifetime for those full 30 years.
So they can get that money, right?
Yeah.
Because they were charging higher rates because of the profile.
Mhm.
So they was getting them going and coming. And then the profile, I remember vividly. I didn't do a lot of business I lost a lot of business, right? Because I would say, hey, you qualify for this amount, okay? Or let's do this and this with your credit to get your credit better. No, I want the house now. And then they would go down the street and, get what they needed to get,
Right.
right? But the behavior was still the same.
Right.
So a lot of folks would go into these 228s thinking, hey, I'm going to change 20 years of bad credit behavior in 2 years.
Mhm.
And the lenders know that. That's why they put a prepayment penalty on it to make sure they got their interest for the 2 years. And
Yeah.
then during the first adjustment, right, a lot of folks were in trouble. Then when the market started to decline due to all the speculation and the surplus of homes, remember supply and demand, too many homes, a lot of folks, not a lot of folks to suck up those homes. What are prices going to do?
Go
Come
down.
down,
Yeah.
right? So that in a nutshell is the history lesson.